Is it possible to practice Buddhism without being a Buddhist? Yeah, I think you can. With me, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, a denomination of Christianity that worships God on Saturday as opposed to Sunday, and believes that when you die, you don't immediately go to heaven or hell, but instead you lay waiting in your grave until Jesus comes again, when everyone faces judgment on the same day. My entire family are Seventh-day Adventists. My parents are, my grandparents are, my aunts and uncles are. So I grew up going to church in that environment, in that community. When I got older, though, I began to drift away from this belief system. By asking questions I couldn't seem to get a just and satisfying answer to, by raising doubts I couldn't seem to ignore. Um, this deconstruction happened over a few years, starting at the end of high school and moving into me being in college and now out of college. Until I finally acknowledged that I wasn't a believer anymore. I could not sit down and call myself a Christian. Um, at that point, in the early stages of this, I considered myself an atheist. I considered myself someone who doesn't believe in God. Today, I would change that word. I would more so use agnostic. And the reason I would use that instead is because I'm more open. I'm more open to possibilities. I'm more open to spirituality and different religions. And even, I mean, if the right evidence were to come, I would be open to the same religion I grew up in. With that openness, other belief systems are more interesting now than they were before. I'm more curious to explore what other people believe. And with that curiosity, I started with Buddhism. With Buddhism, everything that I've learned so far, I can attribute to two things. The first being this book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings by Thich Nhat Hanh, which I hope I said his name right. I did not check before this video. And also a podcast called Secular Buddhism by Noah Rasheta. Um, both the book and the podcast I've heavily enjoyed. The book is a good length. It goes over the teachings in a simple way. And the podcast makes it relatable, where even if you're not Buddhist, you can still take these teachings and help you become a better whatever you already are, as he says at the beginning of every episode. Um, with this book, the first thing it goes over and what the base of the Buddhist teachings are is called the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths to me were very, simple at their core. They make sense. Okay. The first one being the existence of suffering. The first noble truth is the existence of suffering. We all suffer to some extent. It simply says there is suffering in the world and everyone suffers. Pretty clear. The second noble truth is that there is an origin or roots of our suffering that we can identify. It's not just, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. The suffering comes from somewhere. The third noble truth is that suffering can be ended by refraining from doing the things that make us suffer. Again, pretty simple. You can stop suffering by you can stop suffering when you stop doing the things that make you suffer. The good news is that healing is possible. And finally, the fourth noble truth, which is really the crux that holds everything together in Buddhism, in my opinion, um, is that the path that helps us stop suffering is called the Noble Eightfold Path. It includes, again, eight things. It's an eightfold path. It includes right view, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right diligence, right mindfulness, and finally, right concentration. Okay, these noble truths lay at the foundation and the heart of Buddhist teachings. When people think of Buddhism, they most likely think of meditation first. I mean, that's what I saw a lot of growing up when I was just a Christian. The main thing I knew of Buddhism is that they meditate. So, but meditation is really only one part of the path, that noble eightfold path. That part being right mindfulness list. It includes stopping, calming, resting, and healing. Meditation isn't just this, oh, you sit down and you breathe in and out. It includes these very specific things that you have to be mindful of. Okay. If we cannot stop, we cannot have insight. Okay? If we can't just settle down and stop, yeah, there's no way of learning and understanding more. In the book, Han tells us about a story in Zen circles about a man and a horse. The horse is galloping quickly, and it appears that the man on the horse is going somewhere important. Another man standing alongside the road shouts, "Where are you going?" And the first man replies, "I don't know, ask the horse." This is also our story. We are riding a horse. We don't know where we are going, and we can't stop. We can learn the art of stopping our thinking, our habit energies, and the emotions that rule us by mindful breathing, mindful walking, and deep looking in order to understand. Learning the art of breathing in and out can bring us a calming clarity. Our strong emotions need to be recognized and accepted and embraced and understood so that they don't rule over us. With resting, our mind and body are able to heal themselves when we learn to let it all wash over us. Han puts it as stopping, calming, and resting are preconditions for healing. If we cannot stop, the course of our destruction will just continue. I'm a new teacher. I mean, I guess semi-new teacher. Um, this is now my second year of teaching. My last I mean, my first year was simply just surviving. But now moving on to my second year with the school year starting again, it's bringing back some anxiety, stress, because last year was hard. It was difficult. It was scary. I almost wanted to quit at times. It was a lot. So going back this year, I was like, I cannot be like that again. I'm scared that it will be like that again. So the first morning, before school started, around school starts at 8:25. So around 8:10, a little bit before the school day started, I decided to lock my door. I didn't want anyone coming in. Decided to lock my door, and I sat on the floor, crisscross, and I was feeling very anxious and stressed and scared. But also a part of me knew that I was feeling confident because I had now done this before. So while I was sitting on the floor, crisscross, I breathed. And I know it sounds simple, but I breathed in and out deeply and consciously, mindfully taking in everything that I was feeling. I then vocalized that I felt anxious. I said out loud, I feel stressed. I said, I feel scared. But again, it's not just about that. I wanted to balance it out. I wanted to say to myself that I feel scared, I feel stressed, I feel anxious, and I feel confident. I feel ready. I feel excited. I feel happy. All of these things were true. All of these things can be true at once. And so I sat there. I set a timer for 5 minutes and I sat there. Again, saying how I was feeling, breathing in and out consciously. And at the end of those 5 minutes, I then repeated to myself, I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. And let's be honest, even if I fully wasn't ready for those students to come in my door on that first day, I walked myself through that feeling and told myself and vocalized that I felt ready. And so stopping in that moment, calming, resting my brain, resting my mind and my body by finally letting all of these emotions just pass through me instead of letting them control me helped so much. But again, being mindful isn't simply sitting down and taking a couple deep breaths in and out. That's not it. It is to help us learn to appreciate the well-being that is already there. I sat there knowing that I had a well-being. I was well, even if these anxieties and stresses were coming upon me. Thich Nhat Hanh uses the example of when we have a toothache. We know that not having a toothache is happiness, obviously. But later, when we don't have a toothache, we don't treasure our non-toothache. I actually experienced this with my wisdom tooth recently. My back left one um, was hurting a lot for like 5 straight days. I felt swollen, it was throbbing, it was stinging, all of these things, and it was hurting a lot. I got it cleaned, um, again later that week. Went to the dentist and he cleaned it for me. I haven't taken it out yet, but he cleaned it. And the next day, after I got it cleaned, it wasn't hurting anymore. And I completely forgot about it. I woke up and I didn't even notice that it wasn't hurting. I didn't wake up and say, "Oh my gosh, my tooth isn't hurting anymore." Um, like I wasn't treasuring that non-toothache. I took it for granted. I took my well-being in that moment for granted. If we do not have peace and joy at this moment or in one moment, we can at least remember some peace and joy we experienced in the past, or observe the peace and joy of others. Then we may see that well-being is possible. And going back to that first school day, even in my moment of anxiety, waiting for new freshmen to walk in my door, I was able to recognize that I've been at peace before while teaching. I remembered that there was a day before when I didn't feel this way. I was able to see that this suffering would only be momentary. This practice of meditation through mindfulness is one part of Buddha's teachings and all of the Eightfold Path. It's only one part. In future videos, I'd like to show how the rest of the Eightfold Path can apply to you, even if you're not a Buddhist. Again, I think back on how I was raised Christian, and those Christian values of loving others can still be applied to anyone, even if they're not of that religion. Hey, same thing with Buddhism. Overall, thank you all for watching. Please leave any thoughts or comments you have in the comment section, and I will see you all next time.